Hi, everybody.
I'm Ethan Lyles.
And I'm Sean Kitchen.
And you're listening to the Northwest Corner Podcast.
This episode of the Northwest Corner Podcast is brought to you in part by Walmart. Save money, live better. And by Men's Warehouse. You're going to like the way you look. I guarantee it. And special shout out to our main sponsor, Upstate Exposures Magazine. We share the stories of the people, places, events, history, businesses, and music of upstate South Carolina. Always free to read. Go to upstateexposures.com.
Roger Upton, how are you doing today?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing all right. And we also have our producer / co-host, Sean. How are you doing, Sean?
Oh, I'm swell. The producer is Mrs. Kitchen.
The producer,
Yes,
well, the director.
I'm the pretty face. I'm the guy with the face for radio.
For radio.
Yep.
But I would say, like, you're handling the controller and the levels and everything like that. That's producing.
Well, I'm just the guy that owns the hardware.
Okay, that's fair
I get to
enough.
play with the
Yeah,
tools.
So
that's
you
why
are,
I get to
by
play with it, 'cause I
default,
bought
the
it.
producer.
Okay, I'm the producer.
And then the other producer is Miss Kitchen, and she is also here taking pictures and stuff so you can see our beautiful faces. Even though that's why we do podcasts, we can try and hide them.
That's why I say I have a great face for radio.
So, Roger, where are you from originally?
Pacolet, South Carolina.
Pacolet, South Carolina. How long did you grow up there?
I grew up there until I moved to Gaffney when I was probably in 11th grade.
All right. And
Yeah.
what brought you over to Gaffney? Just family?
My parents changed
Okay.
jobs. Yeah.
Changed jobs.
Yeah,
And you
transferred.
and you're in Gaffney now?
Yes.
Over near cow pens?
Yes.
All right. So with Carolina Trekker, which, you know, the account and the blog and everything like that, it's very nature-oriented, hiking-oriented.
Mhm.
Where did that passion come from?
That passion came from actually my childhood. I grew up, like I said, in Pacolet, and we had a pretty large tract of land and had a lot of hills on it, creeks, lake. And, I guess to get rid of me, my parents and grandparents would shoo me off in the woods.
Lock the doors.
Yeah,
go do
seriously,
something.
go do something. Don't let her in the house, in the summertime.
So you got to remember, you and I grew up in different generations.
Yeah.
My parents did the same thing. Go outside.
Yeah,
Don't come
stay-
back in until it's dark.
You'd hear my grandmother holler, time for lunch or whatever, and you'd be miles away and just carry and come back and eat. But anyway, it's interesting because there were a couple things on our land that brought people to it. We had a lot of Native American artifacts, some carvings, a lot of spear points.
Mounds and anything like that?
We did have some mounds. They're still there on the creek bank. And then we had yellow root, which is a medicinal herb, and my grandmother, being of Cherokee descent, she knew all about it. And so she would sometimes send us out to dig in a creek bank to find yellow root. But anyway, people would show up at this land, Clemson Extension being one of them, several archaeologists, and they would need someone to take them to these rock carvings and to the mounds and everything. And so, here I am, 5 years old. Here, Roger will take you,
Follow the kid.
Yeah, and so,
Can't go wrong.
I would take them down in the woods and, up and down hills and valleys and creeks. Don't step there, step here, go here. And, let them take pictures, samples, whatever they had to do, leave. And then I would have artifact hunters come, people that would say, hey, we'll buy these Indian bowls, we'll buy these spear points, we find them, or could you just let us go down here? And anyway, so we did that, and then we had somehow school groups would show up and say,
like elementary school, high school?
Elementary school, usually local, and which where we lived there wasn't many local anything, but they would come in, and I would take these school groups down into the woods to look at all these artifacts and different things like that, and then we would have herb hunters who would come and be looking for yellow root and different things like that.
What does yellow root do?
Yellow root, mainly, to my understanding, and I don't, I haven't messed with it in years, was you boil it to make a tea, which is good for curing sore throats, stomach.
Oh, nice.
It's kind of like one of those remedies. Does it work or not? I don't know. But
Well, that sounds like something that I remember learning about as a kid from where I am originally from, up in Michigan.
Where is that
It was
again?
called Kalamazoo, Michigan.
Where's that?
That's on the other side of the state from Detroit. But let's not talk about that. Jewel weed
Jewelweed.
Have you ever heard of,
I have
of
heard
that
of
before?
jewelweed.
Is that, are we talking two names for the same thing?
I don't know. I don't know if that's the same or not. I'm not, I guess, I should probably get some of my friends who are more into the herbs and find out, what is the deal with all this, because that's a big thing now. But actually, we went hiking a few summers ago up in the Upper, and jewelweed was one of the plants we looked for.
Oh, okay.
Just to look, identify.
Upper Peninsula is
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah,
It's
beautiful up
beautiful. We've talked about it too.
We have.
And you said you went up
have.
there one time?
Yeah, I went. Well, I
When you were a wee
traveled up
lad?
there with a reason one time, and then I've been through there on
Okay.
a couple of occasions on my way to Wisconsin.
Okay.
But,
Gotcha.
we've talked about that before.
So with the hiking stuff and the blog and everything, how did that come to be?
That came to be just people while we were hiking and tell somebody, and they would say, "Hey, you should, write about that."
Mm-hmm.
And I never thought much about it. I've always liked to write, but wouldn't do it. And as time went on, I digital cameras kind of became the thing, and I would take my camera because I said, I want to remember this, and mostly because if I ever went there, I needed to tell somebody about it, and it kind of came together. I put out a little blog and started putting pictures, and then people would start messaging me and saying, emailing me, "Hey, how'd you get here? What's this?" And it got a little bit more detailed like that. And when Instagram came along, that really, really helped, because I could post one picture and write a description beside it. And I'm not a photographer by any means, but I like taking pictures where I go, but mainly for other people, not necessarily for myself. And it's just kind of grown from there. Just here in the last few months, it's kind of taken on its own thing. Whereas I started, producing stickers. Original go
They're
around.
good stickers.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, a lot of people love them. I mean,
Yeah.
I sell several a day. Don't make a lot of money off of it, but it's just kind of a labor of love type thing. And I've seen those stickers. One day I was doing a trail, and there was somebody with a car with one of my Carolina Trekker stickers. And I was like, yeah. Who knows how long they'd been in the woods, so I didn't wait around for them. But it's kind of
That'd have been. So I've been sitting here for the last 4 hours,
3 days, yeah.
waiting for you to get back.
3 days, yeah.
That's a nice sticker on your car. You know where it came from?
Can I take a
Me.
picture? Yeah, I made that sticker. But
Have you been here all day? Well, yeah.
He's a nerd. But anyway, it just sort of there, and then I've always, as I said, even as a child, kind of taken people, led them on hikes, and it just sort of here in the last couple of years, more people have wanted to go with me. Let me go with you next time you go. And so that's kind of taken a life of its own too.
So are you doing that like as a job now?
No.
This is just a hobby.
That's just a hobby right now, and someday it may turn into more. I don't
So
know.
what do you do?
I'm actually I don't know how much I'm allowed to say names, but I'm actually a manager with a national nonprofit retail, and I do donation centers. And
Okay.
I'm a corporate trainer, and that's what I do in my real life.
Okay. Well, that's fun.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's
I mean, it sounds like a good cause.
It's interesting helping people and meeting people. But really, my whole life, I tell people, especially younger people who will come to me and we'll talk, and there's two kinds of people as far as that goes. Society labels you. You're somebody who works for a vocation your whole life. That's what you're calling in life. And then there's people like me who work to finance your next adventure, and that's
Exactly,
kind of
yeah.
always been me. I've been to college. I've done a little bit of everything, done some interesting things in life, and but my whole thing is I've always worked really just to finance my next adventure, wherever that might be.
Work hard to play hard.
Yeah, South Dakota, the Upper Peninsula, somewhere in Tennessee, somewhere in Florida. Who knows? I mean, that's just kind of what I do, and
Right.
it helps pay the bills. I am married, have 2 children, and so it's nice to have things for them also. But on our days off, or particularly mine, it's all about hitting the trail and getting out there and just taking in the beauty of creation.
So so your biggest following, does that come from your blog, or does that come from your Instagram, or do you have a Twitter for it?
No,
or?
I actually do have a Twitter. I don't play much on Twitter, and it's hard to do all that. But Facebook and my Instagram are probably my biggest 2 followers. Right. I do have a Facebook page. I didn't mention that.
Because I followed you on Instagram for a while before I even knew what it was. I didn't know if it was just a page dedicated to like nature photography, and I sort of figured out, okay, this is like a thing that somebody's doing, and the stickers and all that sort of stuff. And
all that came about, like even the stickers was, you should do some stickers. I'd love to have a sticker to show, my support for you or whatever. And I'm like, sure. I know I'm a graphic designer. I have done some graphic art over the years. Let me jump in here.
When those stickers come out?
I've been doing those stickers now since about November, December of last year. It hasn't been long.
Okay, so it hadn't been too long.
Hasn't been.
But I do like. So are all the pictures taken by you?
Everything is taken. By you. And again,
there's some
not a
crazy out there locations. I'm like, this dude's getting around.
Dude, I get around. I mean, it's funny. Most people wouldn't think it, but again, if I have a day off, I have to mow the lawn sometimes. But
see, that's why I had children, is to make them do the chores that I don't like doing.
My son is of age now where he can actually get out there and help me. But I have kind of two ways I do my hiking. We do a family hike once or twice a month, and then on my days off, I might be leading a group, or there might be somewhere I want to go. And with the family, it's usually easier trails. Things, go to see a waterfall or a certain plant or a certain rock formation. But with me, it's all about where has no one else been, and where is the toughest trail I can find to do it, just to lick it, and that's just sort of my makeup.
Is this something that your kids have kind of taken an interest in of their own, or is this something that they're kind of doing because mom and dad does it? I mean, have they kind of gotten the bug for it yet? Are you seeing that taking a hold in them?
It's funny because when my daughter's 6 and my son's 13, but when my son was my daughter's age, he was all about out in nature, but now he's 13, he's all about I'm tired. But no, they like it. My daughter, she's going to be the next trail hound. I mean, she loves to get out there. She impresses other hikers sometimes on the trail because we've taken them on some moderately difficult trails. And it's funny because you run across people struggling with their backpacks, young couples or whatever, trying to get up hills, and she and I come just zoom right on up, and she's got good legs, and she's got good hiker legs, as I call them.
Now you said that even at her young age, she's impressing some of the more veteran hikers. Explain to me a little bit so I can kind of understand what you're getting at. What is the? I know what I'm thinking. Yeah, what
are these obstacles that people are having trouble with?
Yeah, exactly. What are the challenges that would make someone look at someone your daughter's age and go, wow, this kid's really got it together?
Rock scrambles or things like that?
You got rock scrambles. You've got trail with fast elevation gains or elevation gains that are stretched out along mileage or footage, whichever. You have just the terrain itself, rocky trails or rooty trails. We hike a lot up in western North Carolina. Pisgah National Forest is sort of my second home, and
it can get a little steep slick in some places.
Slick, and it's really rooty, really rocky. The trails there, and it gets a little better as you get down into northwest South Carolina. But as you go on up that way, it's pretty rough. So some people just can't deal, And then their physical shape always has a lot to do with it, I found that out. I mean, you can, if I don't hike, once every couple of weeks, and I go back out on a trail, I can tell it.
You get winded pretty quickly.
Yeah, because I don't do any kind of cardio. Besides my normal walking and mowing the lawn, I use a push mower. But that's sort of, people ask me how I train for
I don't do any cardio except all this hiking.
Well, people ask me, they'll say, how do you train for a hike? And I say, well, I push mow my yard, which is true. That's the truth. I have a very hilly yard also, and it's not very good for a riding lawnmower or tractor. So I take my push mower, and that's how I train.
Have you taken your kids over to the land where your parents were and taken them on those places where you used to guide people when you were their age?
I have taken my son. He and I went on a hike over there it was last January. It's best to go when there's not too many bees out or snakes, and also better views, because since I've moved away from there. The trails have overgrown somewhat. I mean, we kept them pretty much tamped down, and but I've taken them and taken a few pictures also of it. So it was pretty neat to take him there. And
did you see any of those old formations or the roots and plants?
Yeah, I still know exactly where everything's at. I did it so many times. The one thing that kind of got me was, God, my parents let us play down here unsupervised, because I mean, you're walking and suddenly it's like a sharp drop off. And I mean, it's some pretty deep gorges down there. And, if somebody got hurt at the bottom of one of the bottoms, as my grandmother would call it, it'd be hard to get them out. And, but yeah, it's, that was interesting to see that. But, also just the fact that, you're out there and it looks smaller now than it did then. It looks so much bigger, and don't know why that is, but it was pretty nostalgic to take him back.
That's pretty
cool. We'll do it again.
So blueberry season's coming up in western North Carolina over near like Shining Rock and all that sort of stuff. Are you gonna take a bucket up there, you think, in the next couple of weeks?
No, I don't. Blueberry season, if I hit it, I hit it. If I don't, I don't. But we usually will stop on the Parkway. There's a really nice place over near Looking Glass Rock Lookout. I'm giving away all the secrets, but that's a good place. Or up on Frying Pan Knob up there where the tower is. That's a good place for blueberries.
Well, you can tell them where it is, just don't tell them how to get there.
Right. Yeah. Well, if you are going to go up there and get some blueberries, be careful. Bears like blueberries just as much as us, so...
Bear safety is a big thing.
Bear safety is a big thing.
People ask me that all the time. Do you ever run up on bears? Yes, all the time. I was telling somebody just the other day, as a matter of fact, I felt like there for a while I was the bear whisperer, because every time I would go out on any trail anywhere, even in South Carolina, you'd run into a bear. And
so what do you do?
Well, you always talk when you're on a trail, which I'm bad about not doing. I'm pretty quiet when I'm on the trail. But just kind of, hey, bear.
Is that usually enough to just kind of alert them to your presence, and they just off they go?
They'll hear it, and then they'll leave. But now, to your point, we were in Shenandoah National Park hiking near the Appalachian Trail a few summers back, and we ran up on a pretty nice-sized bear, and he didn't want to give up his blueberries, and so he kind of watched us, and we watched him, but it's like any other animal, just kind of keep on going, keep on trucking. And bears are a lot more skittish than people think. They don't like people. And about the only 2 times you will probably, or 3 times maybe, you'd come up on an aggressive bear is if you startle one, or if you run up on a male who wants to mate, or if you run up on a female with her cubs, a sow with her cubs.
Especially if you're on the trail and mama bear's on this side of the trail and cubs are on this side of the trail.
And you walk in between.
You are... I just there was this one, who was it? It was a friend of mine's friend, and he was I think he was out in Wyoming, and he was running, just trail running, had his shirt off, just on his shorts, and had his earbuds in, just sort of running, mind his own business on the trail. And apparently he had gotten run on the trail, and the cubs were on one side of the trail, mama was on the other, and he didn't even see what hit him. Just got him from behind and just knocked him down. And he, immediately knew what to do, which was just lie flat, don't get back up, don't move, just stay down, because this was a grizzly.
I always thought that was a myth. I thought that was one of those old wives' tales that that you learned about from watching too much Bugs Bunny cartoons or something. Is that really a thing?
You always taught to lay still, play dead, last resort, roll into a ball. Now, black bears are probably not going to be nearly as aggressive as a grizzly.
This was out west, so it was
and they're not nearly as big. It's funny because when you see a bear, you rarely see a really big one. Most of them are small because I don't know why. I mean, they're just pretty in shape. But yeah, I don't carry it anymore. I used to carry bear spray, and really have never had a need for it. I tell people all the time, don't be afraid of bears, because for me, probably the most dangerous things on any trail is going to be human error. Going off trail, not knowing how to read a map, getting too close to the edge, waterfalls, getting on top of waterfalls and falling. It's human stupidity. I hate to say it. It's probably the most dangerous thing on the trail, not a bear.
Yeah.
The only thing, that's probably storms. That's another thing, getting too far out and not really realizing what the weather is. And, the mountains make their own weather. And so sometimes you might get hit with something out of the blue. It's happened to me a lot of times. And also, these days you have to worry about other people on the trail, unfortunately. You've heard several stories over the last few years about people stalking other people on the trail and things like that. And especially when you get to populated areas, where there's, let's say, an Asheville or something like that nearby, you get people with different motivations getting out on the trail, sometimes not very nice. And so you always are on the lookout for that. But when I'm on a trail, I really don't think about any kind of danger. Just kind of be aware of your surroundings. Play it safe. I tell people when they come on a hike with me, don't do anything stupid. If you get near the edge of something, I'm gonna probably smack you and pull you back, because really don't tempt it. Is not the place to do it. The biggest thing I could tell anyone is as far as the safety aspect of it is just use common sense. Don't get too close to the edge. Don't climb waterfalls. Don't go try to take a picture with an elk.
Right.
Don't try to pick up a rattlesnake. Just things like that.
I mean, but you'd be surprised at how many people try and do that stuff. I mean, daily.
I see it. Great Smoky Mountain National Park. I guess a couple of years back, I had hiked the trail, and we were at the trailhead. It started raining on us, kind of just sitting at the back of my SUV with it up, and all of a sudden here comes this giant black bear out of the woods. I mean, he was huge. I haven't seen one that big in a long time. And suddenly, out of nowhere, comes like 5 people with cameras just right on him, snapping pictures. And he was kind of not paying attention to anybody. He was just trying to make it across the trail.
I can almost imagine the headlines the next day: 5 idiots mauled to death by bear.
Well, it was probably one of the only times, a couple of times, that I have gotten angry at somebody. And one lady, I just had to tell her, you're really about to get hurt, because like any animal, I mean, when a bear or a horse or anything is ill, their ears will lay back. I'm ready to charge. And so we got her back.
Well, it's kind of like a dog.
Yeah. And the bear took off down the hill. And another time, I saw a lady getting out of her car in Cherokee to go take a picture with an elk. And you don't mess with an elk. They'll stomp you, kick you, gore you, whatever. And most people just don't realize.
All right, I got to ask you this question. Now, what you've just described to me is so completely commonsensical. Don't run up and get your picture taken with the bear. I mean, to me, you shouldn't have to explain that to somebody. But obviously, there are people in the world who need this explained to them.
Well, no, I mean, you could have just stopped as there are people in the world.
Well, what I was going to ask you, now you've been doing this for quite a while now, since before the advent of smartphones and everybody wanting their 5 minutes of fame on Facebook or Instagram. Do you think that kind of, I guess I'll just call it foolishness, is that because people just lack the knowledge of what's dangerous and what's not? Or do you think that it's because something kind of gets shut off in people's minds because they're so intent on getting their picture of them doing something that just any sense of personal jeopardy or danger just kind of goes right out the window?
Yep, you hit on something actually that I just had a long discussion with someone back about. Was it yesterday, the day before? And I've had this many times. I've kind of written on it, alluded to it, but never really went straight forward. But one drawback of Instagram and Facebook and blogging is you get a picture, maybe it happens that one time, or maybe you get to that one place. Well, other people see it and they want to go there, or they want to do that because they figure if this guy can do it or this gal can do it, anybody can do it. And it's just not that way. As a matter of fact, last night I had a discussion yesterday evening with someone who's a photographer. And again, I'm not a photographer. I'm just a hiker with a camera. That's how I look at myself. And they had messaged me asking me how to get to a certain place. And I said, how often do you hike? Blah, blah, blah. Why are you asking me this? Because I really need to know. And, don't really do it just every now and then. No, don't go there, and I convinced this person not to go to this place to take a picture or try to get pictures, because I said, I don't think it's, it's 8 miles into the back country. There's no marked trails, blah, blah, blah. It's just something I wouldn't do unless you took someone who is experienced with you.
At least knows how to, put red thread in his shed.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. How to use their compass there. Knows how to read a map. Knows the direction.
Okay, you just completely lost me with that.
Well, then you shouldn't go back.
Yeah, don't go hiking.
Put red thread in the shed.
Yeah, like a dial compass.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's how you teach kids. Put red thread in the shed.
Yeah. So,
okay. All right. Now I know what you're talking about.
Boy
Boy,
Scout.
I just
Boy
suddenly,
Scout, military,
I just
everything.
suddenly felt so old.
Yeah.
I thought this was some, these kids today. Or
No.
Actually,
I learned that just whatever merit badge I had back then.
Yeah. So it's a great skill to have.
To be able to read a map with like a dial compass is pretty. I hope my kids will know how to do it.
Yeah, it's something that and I've written about this before, and I preach it, so to speak, often. Is if you're going to go hiking, have a trail map and know how to use it, know how to use a compass, know how to read the lay of the land, so to speak, landmarks, in case you get lost and everything else fails. It could happen. And it's easy to get lost out there, especially, like I said, somebody posts this amazing picture on Instagram. Ooh, I've got to find out how to get there. And they go and they realize that even 2 miles off of the main trail, or 2 miles out in the wilderness, might as well be 20 miles, because they don't know where they're at.
It's like getting stuck in a cornfield.
Yep. It really is. And it's the most frustrating thing. I was lost one time, and that was enough for me. One time that I can remember. But that was in Shining Rock Wilderness. And
everything. Yeah. I mean, that's, I think we had a little something where we got a little turned around one time, and it freaked me out because it was getting dark right around that area too. I think it was Graveyard Fields.
Yep, right down the way from the area. But it's easy to get lost. But what you do is you just have, I always say the most basic thing is before you start a trail, look at, is there a mountain shape there? I mean, whatever the case may be, just so you can keep your eyes on it. But yeah, I got turned around out there trying to follow a book. Someone had an alternate trail out there that I wanted to see what it was about, which I ended up finding it. Just kind of stopped myself. But those few minutes that I was turned around were, wow, will I die out here? Because it happens all the time in that area. Just like he said, it's easy to do. And but made my way back, made a commitment to myself that from now on, if I ever go out and I was by myself too. If I ever go out by myself or with anybody, I will make sure we look over the map, make sure we look over the compass.
Make sure people know where you're going.
Yep.
Too.
Let people know.
Someone has to know. And
are you a proponent of things like the spot trackers or DeLorme InReach or other personal satellite locators, things like that?
Well, I mean, it's nice to have those.
Not everybody can afford them, though.
Yeah, they're expensive, and like anything electronic, it will fail at some point. But your map and your compass and just your general ability to orient yourself, that's invaluable. It can't be taken from you unless suddenly get amnesia, which could happen.
Or you don't know what the phrase put
red thread in the shed
means.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm a big proponent of knowing how to read a map and compass first. That's the basics. And I have hiked with people who use GPS and different things like that, but
those can go out.
They fail because
I wasn't referring I wasn't referring so much to navigation.
Yeah.
But like
do you know what I'm talking about with a spot tracker?
Yeah, homing beacon in case you get lost.
Yeah, well, more so that like emergency services can find you.
Exactly.
If something happens.
Yeah, it'd be nice. I mean,
help! I've fallen and I can't get up.
Yeah, exactly.
It'd be cool. I've thought about it. It'd be cool if they made an inexpensive one that every hiker could carry, and I'm sure maybe today they do. But
actually, the spots aren't
too bad. They're probably the most widely
I think the last
used.
time I looked, the unit. they're giving away the units for free
No
with
way.
a 1-year subscription to the service.
Ah,
So it's I didn't know it was a script. I thought it was just you buy the device and it'll track
You're
you.
good, yeah.
No, it's the last I looked. Now, you know,
They may have
I've
changed,
looked at this.
They
for,
may have changed their business.
Well,
model.
I've looked at this for my motorcycle interests also.
Ah.
It used to be you had to buy the actual little orange Dayglow orange tracker unit for about $150, and then it cost about $150 a year
Yeah.
for their service, which not
I've
only
never
would
used
give
it.
you access to what I just lost the name of the nationwide 911
Yeah.
emergency service, and web interfacing so that you know your loved ones can see where you are and that kind of thing.
Don't be Aaron Ralston is the bottom line.
But now if you get a year's subscription to the service, and I think it's $150, you get the Spot unit
Well,
for
that's
free.
nice.
If it works for you, use it. I mean, that's
Yeah.
kind of how I look at that.
But-
Whatever, you can't go wrong.
But like
How
he
do-
said,
what do you do when if you know you're heading out for a while? What kinds of things do you do to give you kind of an emergency backup, so to speak? Are you a proponent of letting people know your estimated time of return, where you're going? How do you deal with
You
that?
got to gauge where you're going and how long it's going to take. I let several people know, you know, friends, neighbors, family, whatever. Put it on Instagram a lot of times. Hey, this is where we're going. This is how long the trail is. You know, I always let somebody know, and that's even on a short trail because, like I said, it's easy, especially in wilderness areas where I like to go. There are no marked trails. There's trails, but they're not marked, and it's easy to get turned around and lost. But let someone know where you're going. Always, I tell people when they come hiking with me, pack as if you're going to be out in the woods at least 2 days, even if you're going on a short trail. Reason why is you may be out there 2 days. You know, something may happen, and you may need it. Always carry the essentials, you know, especially something to start a fire. Extra, I always say extra socks.
a day pack.
Yeah,
It's
day
good
pack.
to have. You know, don't go out there with
Okay.
literally just a water bottle.
You say plan 2-day minimum.
Yep.
So describe for me what your pack looks like. What are you? Somebody comes up and says,
What do I have?
"Hey, I want to try this. You know what? I don't want to be an idiot and carry everything but the kitchen sink. You know what do I need for 2 days? What do you consider the bare minimum?"
Well, are they planning to go for 2 days, or is this just a survival kit of if you have to?
Let's ask the man
Okay.
himself. What's in your pack?
Right now, a laptop. Hey, but I had to find some place to store it. Yeah, whenever I go anywhere, there's certain things I carry regardless, and it's not because I think something might happen, but if something ever did, I mean, or I may get a wild hair, as they say, out on a trail and say, "Ooh, here's some place I haven't been. I might hit this now." So, always have extra water. Always have, you know, some trail bars. I usually try to go something like dense, protein dense. Beef jerky's good too. For that.
Well, that just goes without saying.
Yeah. So take that. Always have my map. Always have a compass. I carry a blade of some kind. You know, usually I actually have 2 or 3 in my bag. I have a small one, big one. You know, one I carry on my side because having a sharp instrument's always a good thing. I carry a little bit of rope, extra rope, in case I have to bind something or pull somebody up or tie something together. I always carry duct tape. Duct tape is the best thing you can have whenever, you know, if your shoe blows out or if you get a rip in your pack or if you get a rip in your clothes or
if you
you
cut
know,
yourself real bad.
cut yourself,
and,
you can duct tape yourself up, or somebody won't quit talking. You can always, you know,
Right.
you know, stick that on them. You know, when you're on the trail, trying to
Bottle of
enjoy
super
it.
glue will do that too.
Always do that. It's funny because if someone, some of my hiking friends, if they hear this, they'll laugh at this. I always carry extra socks. The worst feeling on earth is,
I
is
think
hiking in
any
wet shoes.
yeah,
the
I think
worst.
anybody
It's
who
awful.
was in the Army in World War II will
Yep.
tell you the benefit of extra socks.
Yep. It's the worst thing ever, and it can lead to, like you say, a lot.
Trench
of,
foot.
Yeah, trench foot. You know, you can get all kind of crazy.
Or
stuff.
just real smelly, wrinkly, bad feet.
Just feel bad. Yeah. I mean, I've been glad to get my shoes off in winter sometimes just to get dry socks. You know, let my feet air out. So that's a big deal with me. Carry a light device of some kind. I have a couple things. I have a headlamp I'll carry sometimes. I always keep. I have a credit card light in my pack. It's this little one you can mash, and it's got a very good. You can do that, and they make tons now. I mean, like I feel like I'm living way back when now. But now you can go to, like, say, the local hiker up here in Spartanburg, and they've got tons of different lighting devices. I always carry in a sealed bag something to make fire with. I carry an extra blanket of some kind, usually, and I'm telling you, I got to try one out for the first time in my whole life. On a hike up the Black Mountain Crest Trail, an emergency blanket, a piece of foil.
Those things are warm.
Yeah, those things are amazing. I was like, wow, I should have been using
Oh, you're talking the double-sided reflective looking?
Yeah, and they sell them, and they're real small. They'll sell them to you. It's, you don't want to pull it out any time because there's no way you're going to get
never get it back.
Never get it back in that thing, but it's an emergency thing that's real small. It's real light. You can put it in there. If you got stranded, this thing, I mean, it will reflect 90% of your body.
It keeps you nice and warm.
And the outside's this bright orange, that come find me orange color, which is always good to have.
Yeah. I mean, those things are, I didn't realize, like I said, I used one. We didn't anticipate getting as rained on or it getting as cold, even though we knew it'd rain and get cold. But you never think. It went to another level. And so I use that, and it really, it conserved my body heat. I always carry a packable waterproof poncho also. And I buy mine a size up. I normally wear medium. I buy a large. Reason being, push comes to shove, I can pull that thing down and curl my knees up, and it'll cover my whole body up.
Yeah.
Okay. And it also packs into a nice little pillow, about yay big. So that's always nice. That's really everything I have in there. I mean, I carry all that whenever I go. And,
but especially something to start a fire with, especially a light of some kind, especially something to keep you warm, especially stuff to keep you dry.
Yep. Because, and I don't think I have any right now, but I'll carry some, even though I might carry a lot of water, I carry some purification drops also, just in case. And I also carry a small cup that is plastic, but it's actually, you can boil in it. It's the plastic.
Oh, nice.
And so in case, something ever happened, you want to
You
boil
ever
some water.
boiled water in a paper bag?
I never have.
It's pretty fun.
No.
Yeah, like a lunch bag, you can do it. It's because the fire will keep it hot enough so the bag doesn't get destroyed by the water, and the water keeps it cool enough so it doesn't burn. And it's really cool, and the top of it where the water's not in it gets all singed off. But you have a paper bag, you can boil water. And that is this week's episode of the Northwest Corner Podcast. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back next week.